You know, I think a lot about my early days in beekeeping when I was apprenticing under a commercial beekeeper who knew a lot more than me, but he was still learning himself, and he would tell you so. But I think of how far that I've come to where I am now with my knowledge and experience in bees, and the journey in between, you know, the start and the now. And I think I've come to a conclusion that I'm not managing bees so much as I'm managing myself. And I think that that has a lot to do with answering why there's so many different outcomes between your colonies when you expect the same inputs to give you the same outputs across the board. So in essence, what I'm saying is, I think your mindset, or at least in my experience, my mindset has a lot more to do with the results of my management than my tools do. I just pulled up in the bee yard. It's about 64 degrees today. It'd be a good day to get into my colonies, but I'm not quite ready yet. I'm going to wait till closer to the full moon, plus the timing of something new that I'm going to be trying out and sharing with you guys eventually. It's not ready yet, and I want it to be ready for my first hive inspection. So we're here in the apiary now. Let's get out, look at the bees flying, talk about what we got going on today. So I think I see a common theme when it comes to interacting with a lot of beekeepers. I don't have many beekeepers who have been in it quite as long as I have, though I've met some that have been in it even longer. But for the most part in my area, people just kind of dabbled in it, just got into it. So everyone's pretty much 4 years experience and under. And I hear the same things over and over. And that is, what do I do? When do I do it? It's not so much about like recognizing a worker bee versus a queen, but I do also hear a lot of things like, I can't find my queen. Because I guess for some reason, somewhere along the way, people think they need to see her every time they open a colony, which is a myth. There's a lot of misunderstanding and assumptions in beekeeping from beginners when they get into this. And that's understandable, because I think most of them don't have a mentor, someone that they can hold on to the sleeve of someone else's bee suit and be able to follow them along from day to day and see like dozens to hundreds or even thousands of hives over time, to just be exposed to that experience so that things start to make sense faster. They see what is noise, in other words, the things they think are important, as something we don't even bother with. And I noticed that a lot when I got into beekeeping, that my mentor didn't worry about a lot of little things necessarily. He was more concerned about what was going on outside so that he understood where his hives should be and how he could help them get there if they weren't. He knew how to balance resources based on reading environmental signals. And so that's something that has taken me a long time to get around to learning myself. And now that's my primary goal, to want to help share with other beekeepers. I think in this experience of new beekeepers getting into beekeeping, they're like, they all come in the same way, through interest in beekeeping. And then most go to, what should I be doing, with what tools, how often, and they could perform all of those actions and still not get the right results that they're hoping for, because they're just following a checklist that they got from someone else with different context. When in fact, if they went this other way and learned what influences the colony and how to read the inside of a colony as a reflection of those influences, I think they would learn on their own a lot faster and know what kind of manipulations, if any, were necessary in the colony. Looking back in my own early days, like, I know that I was kind of a micromanager. I was excited to have bees. I wanted to get in the hive and see what they were doing. So I ended up being in too often, and I would a lot of times mess up their progress, especially during a honey flow. I wanted to see how much honey they put in today versus yesterday. And so that's what I'm kind of referring to when I say we're not managing bees so much as we're managing ourselves. Our behaviors dictate our management style. And so our management style then, depending on the behaviors that it's coming from, is going to reflect itself in our bees, their productivity or the lack thereof, or the lag thereof. The girls are bringing in a lot of maple pollen right now. And so I know, based on that, what's happening inside the hive. I know that the queen has increased her egg laying rate. I know that more and more brood is going to be emerging every day to where, they're going to peak their populations this summer. I know I don't have to get in the colony right now. We don't have drones yet. I don't need to go in and look for things to fix because I've learned to trust my bees more than I trust myself. They know what's going on, and I'm still learning that. So in essence, they've become my mentor. Right now, I think that with the people that I help, with the students I have and mentor myself, I see a lot of management stemming from fear, worried about their colonies, out of a place of care. They care about their bees. They want to be thoughtful. I also see management styles coming out of a place of impatience, and it's understandable. That's a beginning thing, but it's not a sustainable management style. And if what I do, trying to shorten the learning curve, I try to do it in such a way that you can follow through certain motions that experienced beekeepers do and get those results without having to have the experience to back it up. And that way, whenever you do what experienced beekeepers do, your bees are going to survive more, you're going to have fewer losses, and they'll be around longer for the beginners to learn from. Because when you don't know what you're doing at first, your bees don't last that long. And so when your bees are gone, whether they've absconded or died out, you don't have anything to learn from. So if they can stay around longer, because I can help the beekeeper know what to do and when to do it, whether they understand the why yet or not, then they've got a teacher in the boxes that can help them get to that next level that so many beekeepers want to be at. In my beekeeping days, I've helped manage anywhere between 300 hives to 5. With what I'm doing right now, with my goals in life right now, I have overwintered 5 colonies, and 5 colonies have come through the winter successfully. I like to speak in terms of survival rates instead of loss rates. I know last year the U.S. suffered an 80-something% loss, but I like to look at the bright side. I say they had a 15 to 20% survival rate, which is still doesn't sound that great because it's so low. But this winter, I'm happy to say I've got a 100% survival rate. And my goals this spring are to split when the colony is balanced, in other words, their population to resources and incoming forage availability can afford that kind of maneuver. I don't plan on harvesting because I want to use those resources to build up my bees and my swarm traps to catch even more. I want to build up my numbers this year. And not every year's been like that, but that's my goal for this year. And I know how to get there because I've been working with bees long enough. And so your different goals are going to call for different strategies. What's cool about beekeeping is that you can be a thinking beekeeper and a thoughtful beekeeper. And using the two together usually has yielded the best results for me. I think when I've been more in my head, I've gotten worse results. Things didn't go my way. Things felt forced. I had greater loss. A lot more things unexplained I couldn't figure out. And that wasn't the kind of beekeeping that I liked. So perhaps in your own beekeeping management, if you were maybe just a little bit more aware of where your sense of need to get into a colony was coming from, it might help improve or adjust your management style. Like, imagine the difference between a calm approach and one of, oh my gosh, are my bees about to swarm? I need to get in there and prevent it if I can. There's a huge difference between those two attitudes. I used to worry so much about swarms. I would go in and squash every queen cell I could find, only to find out after the fact that my bees had already swarmed and those were the cells left for them to raise a new queen. Just shot myself in the foot. Huge mistake. And I remember thinking, dang, I just did this whole thing out of urgency and this is what it got me. I didn't take the time to slow down and really think about it. And I definitely paid the price. Fortunately, bees can make up for a lot of our mistakes. They are resilient. It's like they're fragile and resilient at the same time. I know they saved my butt from my mistakes on them on more than one occasion. So if you only remember one thing from today, remember this, that a beehive colony, I've learned finally, is a biological system. It's something already in motion and always in motion. And that my interference is exactly that. I'm interfering inside of a system. And thus I'm becoming a disturbance in it. So it has caused me to have to learn more about what influences outside are affecting influences inside, so that I can minimize my interference, and that when I do finally go in and intervene or feel the need to make manipulations in the colony, that I do it from a much more informed position, and I do it in a way during that one inspection that gives them and myself more bang for my buck, so to speak. And so the effects are going to be longer lasting instead of needing to micromanage them every few days, which I have found that doesn't work. So my ask of all of you today is maybe just kind of take a moment and figure out where your management style comes from. Just observe it. I'm not even saying you got to change it. Just kind of become aware of it. I've come from calm, I've come from urgency, and I definitely know that my bees will reflect whatever my approach is, and I'm going to see those results the next time I get into the hive. Just some thoughts from the Hive Doctor. Thanks for joining me in the apiary today. And the next video I'm going to be doing is going to be a really cool and interesting one. It's going to be going over the roller coaster ride of what it's like to be a beekeeper, every point that we hit through the years, and how we can overcome the slump part of those years that are bound to happen. Because loss and things not going the way that we really want them to is a part of beekeeping, but it also means it's part of the learning experience that we can do something about. It's just an opportunity to get better. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Hive Doctor out.